Ms. Finkenauer, you recognized?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and so great to have you all with us today, and so good to see you again, Lieutenant General Semonite. I know the last time I saw you, I believe, was actually in my district in Cedar Rapids when we did the groundbreaking for the Cedar Rapids, or the Cedar River Flood Control System project. So we're really grateful that we've got this started, but as you know, I mean, obviously the Cedar River runs through the city of Cedar Rapids, and federal funding was only awarded for the flood control project on the east side of the Cedar River, leaving the community on the west side with less protection. I know it came down to the benefit-cost ratio, the formula that the Army Corps uses to decide which projects receive funding. But how can Congress change this formula to make sure that projects in working-class neighborhoods like the west side of Cedar Rapids can better take advantage of this funding and make sure that we have this complete?
We're actually, the chief and I are actually looking at the benefits analysis in BCR ratios now, particularly in rural areas like everything between the coast, basically. And because we're not counting everything that I feel should be eligible in a benefit-cost ratio. And it's very important because you have to have that to get a project done. And we're looking at that. And you said, how can the Congress help? I'd be happy to talk at any time about the benefits that we should be or should not be looking at. And then I will work with OMB on that, and we'll see what we can do.
Congresswoman, I would just add, that, and the Secretary is exactly right, there's a big difference in my mind between a benefit-cost ratio of deepening a harbor, which is important, but we're just trying to make a good thing better, to an area where somebody's going to die or somebody's going to have loss of, quality of life. So how do those projects, flood control projects, they should have a higher factor somehow in that calculus. You can't just look at them in the same. And this is where Cedar Rapids had a hard time ever getting through the system, and the only way it got it through is Congress passed a supplemental where you didn't have to have the beneficial cost ratio at the level it is.
Thank you again. And now for Assistant Secretary James, thank you again for being here. And in your testimony, I know you stated the need to focus on projects that provide also the economic and environmental returns. And last month, obviously, Congress passed a bipartisan spending bill that we're all very grateful for, that directs the Corps to commit funding for multi-purpose projects in the pre-construction engineering and design phase. And something that I am very eager to see in the pre-construction phase is NESP. This is and making sure that we get that funding to it. I, being from Iowa 1, right on the Mississippi, I know just how important this is for our farmers in particular, and for the state of trade in our country as well. If, God forbid, one of our locks and dams go down and we don't get these things updated, we are looking at a world of hurt here, and an added cost that we just can't afford right now. And getting these updated and widened the way that we should and in the right way is just, you get it, it's incredibly important. So can you agree to work with me to make sure that we get that funding and get that in the work plan for NESP?
Absolutely. I think it's critical to our nation. There again, we're out in middle America, and the people say, well, we don't have container barges going in and out of those locks and dams and blah, blah, blah. But those locks and dams ship 60% of the corn and soybeans of this nation.
Absolutely.
And I mean, that is critical.
Yes.
Because our agriculture has been the only venue that's had a constant balance, addition to our balance of trade in both good times and in bad times. I'll absolutely be happy to work with you. I've got some ideas on this. I ran them by the Congress in 2018 when I first got here. My ideas weren't well accepted, but I think we could talk about it again, and maybe they're even better ideas that we could discuss, but it's very important.
It's incredibly important, and I'm glad to see that you understand that as well. Thank you, and thanks for you both for being here today. And with that, I yield back.
Thank you, Ms. Finkenauer.